nobody has any idea. That's the whole point, right? And so basically, everything else, like it's when you want to buy your iPhone, or you want to buy an Android phone, you know how much that costs, right? You look at your plans, you're trying to make these decisions. But when you're buying healthcare, you basically, well, we have insurance, my mom figures it out, or whatever, right? The problem is that nobody figures it out. And so the U.S. spends more than $3 trillion on healthcare every year, which is about, like 18%. So about GDP is like gross domestic product, which is like all the stuff that is done in the country. About a fifth of it goes to healthcare. And so, just to, you guys have a concept of what a trillion is? Okay, so you take $1,000, multiply it by 1,000, you get a million. Multiply it by 1,000 again, you get a billion. Multiply it by 1,000 again, you get a trillion. So it's an insane number. And what that boils down to is the fact that individual people like you and me are not capable of being able to make market-based decisions about like, look, is this one better or worse? Is this one, is this one going to be better for me? Will I like it more? Does it cost more? No one can do that. No one knows how much healthcare costs. $3 trillion, or how much your doctors does it cost? And the answer to your doctors is it depends, of course, but somewhere between $100 and $300. But how much you actually pay, or your parents pay, is based on your insurance and all this sort of stuff. And so what we try to do at Stroll is basically process the billions of claims every year. So a claim is basically a healthcare encounter when you go to your doctor, when you get a vaccine, anything that goes through. We try to process the billions of claims to figure out how much things cost, whether they're good or not, and in real time when a doctor or a patient is trying to make a decision about where to go for healthcare, to actually do the best thing for that patient. So it's a really, really hard problem, and so we have to hire a lot of smart people and do a bunch of stuff to do it. But basically, the sorts of technologies that we use, are like the things that you could use today if you wanted to. But we're not doing it, so we're based on Azure and Google. It's free to go use. You guys can go do that. Who's hosting our servers? We use MySQL database. That's free. You guys can go do that. All the language that we use are things that you could go build. The data analytics are difficult. We use statistical modeling and all this sort of stuff. But the point is that so I'll finish talking about the technology and I'll go back to where I come from, which has nothing to do with any of this, right? On the front end, we use JavaScript, we use Angular, we use React. All the web apps are hosted again on Google and Microsoft. And the point is that it's all just modular components that you guys can live from a particular piece of and own that, and then eventually you guys can say, cool. One, how old do you think I am? And then two, what do you think I did before this? What do you think about that? Does anyone have any ideas? Silence, okay. So I just had my 10-year high school reunion. So imagine, so I'm 20, right? So imagine 10 years from now, I don't know if you guys are seniors or juniors or graduates or whatever, but basically 10 years from now, you could be right? And you could be even less than that, right? I'm an older young entrepreneur, I don't know. Okay, anyone have an idea of what I did before healthcare technologies? I played volleyball in college, so I cooked volleyball, but whatever, that's besides the point. I'm sure that was a Saturday. I'm a geologist. I worked on nuclear power plants with the earthquake hazard, right? There's nothing to do with anything that I'm doing. The point is it doesn't matter what you're doing right now, or at any point, really. You can always do whatever you want if you just focus. But the point is, I think right now you should take away is to do things that you think are interesting, to meet interesting people, and really to be engaged. But the biggest point is that you should do something important in life, right? So like right now, do things that are fun. If it's not fun, if it's not interesting, do something that is interesting. If that's one of my roommates does games. He just sells games. He's really fucking good at it. He's really good at selling games. And that's he's good at playing games, and then he's I would like to do something that is a little bit more impactful, but still games touch How many of you play Pokemon? Let's see some hands. Yeah, like everybody, right? So like think about that. Think about all the people walking off cliffs and going down. but like the point is like you're touching so many people, right? And do things that you can touch people that make a difference. To game, it's healthcare, it's geology, whatever it is. But in the meantime, like that should always be your vision. Because the alternative is that you're working on someone else's vision, or that you're not working on a vision at all. Right? Which just, and it's not. Sometimes you get paid a lot of money, but still, it's. I don't want to put any examples because, like, for some people that might be their vision. Right? Flipping burgers is like a typical example. But for some people that are like, the McDonald's people, like that was their vision, right? That was pretty cool to like have. Obviously now there's lots of copies and so forth, but so it really just matters about like, I think touching people and how to get the skills to do it. So I guess from here, what sorts of things do people talk about when you come up here? What are you looking for? I can give you guidance on it. Are you guys worried about college? Are you worried about getting jobs? Are you worried about skills? Like what are the things that I can just make it up? I'm not giving anything. Relationships. You guys got any sort of topic that you?
How can a company start?
Yeah, sure. So that's a good point. So it's how I'll get to, but why I think is a better question. So why did I start? And so why do you think I started a company? Or why do you think you started a company in general? Shout out to my team. Okay, that's yes. The alternative is you have to, but that's difficult. So why would I go ahead?
To make your vision a reality.
Yeah. Okay. Let's throw out some other ideas. Oh, that's good. All right, that's getting closer. All right, what else? Anything? Well, it's actually you're really cool because you like basically can't not, right? So like you're working on this interesting problem, and I think the right way to think about this is like this starting a company is a big deal. It's this whole, but it starts off as like you're working on this problem. It's interesting. You stay up at night. You have a job, hopefully, and you're doing this other thing. But eventually, just like I can't not do this. Nobody else is solving this problem. Somebody needs to solve this problem. You have to have this vision. And like literally, like the day before I quit, where I didn't sleep. I was just like, I stayed up all night, went to work, slept, like at lunch, went to my car and slept because I was like exhausted, right? And like I just can't go on. I can't keep doing this. And so then, so that's why you started a company. And of course, all of those reasons are wrong. To be honest, right? To be honest with yourself, there are other people that are trying to solve this problem. Right? You really could just give up, right? Or just relax a little bit, just like hang out, right? But you have to like kind of, there's this concept of like reality distortion field, where it's like the real world is people like go to school or do all these things and like go home and like sleep and don't get worried about stuff, and it's like your world is, if I don't keep thinking about this thing, my baby is going to die, right? And it's like this incredibly like meaningful, stressful thing, right? But it's not real. You have to realize that, right? You're making it, right? Now that it is real, like it's cool, like. It's cool. I love doing this, so I talk to high school kids sometimes. I also this year talked to the United States Congress, so you saw me on C-SPAN. Like I also flew to China and talked to the Chinese government about healthcare. Right? And I'm a geologist, and I know nothing about this. Right? Think about that. So okay, so then how did I do it? Right? So how do you start a company? Well, and I think this is a good way to do it. My best friend and I started the company. So we lived together, we worked together, we started the company together. I'm a little bit, after being a geologist, I'm a scientist. I did some analytical computer science work stuff, but only for a couple of years. So I have a little bit of technical experience. But the point is that neither of us really, I designed it, but I didn't build it. I already built it. And then so what do you guys think are when you think about starting a company? Well, what do you guys think about it? Yeah, sure.
Taking a big risk.
Okay, yeah, certainly a big risk. But I think the point is that it's an incremental risk. Right? If you think about it as it's like, oh my God, I have to raise millions of dollars, I have to hire all these people, I have to think of a great idea, I have to sell it, I have to market it, I have to talk to investors. It's impossible. One person can't do that, 10 people can't do that. But if it's an incremental thing, right, all I need to do is get one investor to give me $10,000 because that means I can quit my job and like live for 3 months, which will get me to the next milestone. Well, $10,000, that's not too bad. You can probably ask your parents for $10,000. They'll probably give it to you because they love you, or maybe they don't want you to give it. I don't know. So if you think about it as an incremental problem, but what else do you guys think about when you think about starting a company?
Having a plan, thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, not all companies do. Sometimes, there's different milestones that you have, right? So sometimes it's just about growth, right? So what does growth mean? I mean, it's whatever you want it to mean, but sometimes it's users, sometimes it's paid users, sometimes it's conversion from unpaid to paid. There's all sorts of things that growth can mean, right? Growth can mean increase in revenue. Okay, any other ideas? Yeah. These are all just like hiring, for example. Like I'll go to talks where it's like 2 hour long, where these people are just talking about how to hire people, how to onboard people. What does onboard mean? It's like, well, you hired them, how do I get them to be part of my team? It's not all of a sudden now you're like, you're part of the warriors or whatever you have to do. So anyway, I think of the Facebook movie. That's how I said that. So maybe you guys are too young for the Facebook movie. That's like decent, right? You guys have seen that, right?
Social network?
Social network. You guys seen that? Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like, or what's that? Silicon Valley? You guys watch TV? That's what most people say. But yeah, you guys said like reasonable things. So the biggest thing is basically, I wouldn't do it alone. I would try to find a partner. Hopefully someone that you trust. You've been doing this for like 3 years. We're still going, right? It's probably, you should think about this thing as like a 5 to 7 year, like experience. Like, what's something that you guys have done for 5 to 7 years?
Cool.
Yeah, basically nothing, right? High school's 4 years, right? It's fun, it's like the concept of is such a big thing, right? And so and that's not like, school you go home, right? And but that's your whole social thing. This is both your whole social thing, plus you don't really go home because it's like your baby. Okay? So it's this really big thing. So it's I think the right way to do it, right, is to get a partner, come up with a plan, and a really unambitious plan, like incredibly unambitious. Like I want to sell 10 pies to this person. Right? Versus like I want to build the factory and I want to hire all these people. Like think about it like from an end state. Who's going to buy? So sorry, end state means what do you want? Like what is the desired outcome? What is the last thing that you're going to get? Right? And so for think about it as like a sale. So if you're selling pies, right? Go sell the pies. But don't even have pies in it. Just go sell it. Like I have a blueberry pie. You want to buy it. You can just like fake it. Like have somebody else's blueberry pie and say all these nice things about your blueberry pie. If no one's going to buy it, then you don't have to invest millions of dollars into building this factory of things because, unless there's like, now they're going to taste it and now there's like, okay, they're not buying it because, well, it's actually just a normal store-bought pie that you just can't make these things about. And then it's like, okay, well then now you need to do this thing. But the biggest thing that I think, again, people freak out about or don't do enough of is that starting a company is an incremental thing. You don't have to have this big, huge plan. You don't have to, and in fact, investors don't want that anymore, right? What they want to see is that people will buy your stuff, or that you have some sort of incredible technology sort of thing that you can license and sort of. But assuming absent of this like amazing technology thing, and again, for technology things, probably somebody else is actually doing it, right? You just don't know. But what investors, it's very easy to see is going back to the social network. Well, look, you know what number Facebook was in terms of social networks? Like how many had come before it? Yeah, they were like the 7th popular one. So they're just rehashing something that somebody else had already done, right? But why did investors invest in them? Two reasons, right? One, it wasn't obviously, if you guys saw the movie, like they weren't making any money. The business guy was trying to make money. That was wrong. They shouldn't have done it. There's no point in it. What the investors were investing in, and in some companies it is important to make money, right? I mean, what investors were investing in was growth, and 2 types of growth, right? They're investing in basically new users and then retained users. So Facebook has this incredible statistic that it's like 55% of all users ever in the history of the company still use Facebook, which is just like nutty. Like that's like, people don't even drive cars now. You know what I mean? It's like what's the average thing? That's insane. I don't know of any other product, besides like Google that's true for. That's when investors invest in. Not a plan, not money. Right? So it's really when you're starting this company, you got to think about what are the things, what are the things that you need, and then what are the things that are going to get you there? Because you're going to run out of money. You need to hire other people.